Make sure that we live everywhere. All right, let's get this countdown going. I'm Darian of the Spotlight Raiders Talk, and you're watching Fan to Fan Network, the voice that sports fans deserve. Just win, baby.
Once a Raider, bruh, always a Raider, bruh. Shit simple as that. You look silver and black. Lot of bread invested in that old line. Car insurance cost the arm and the...
What is going on, everybody? What is going on? We are here for another Spotlight Raiders Talk podcast. I am Darian of the Spotlight Raiders Talk, home of the Spotlight Sports Network. We're here with some updated news, updated rumors, injuries, everything that has to go on with the Spotlight Raiders Talk. And I finally connected back from my guy all the way back when we were Silver and Black Podcast. Silver and Black Podcast, my boy Chad. What is going on, man?
What's happening, bro?
Thanks for coming back on, man. We really do appreciate it. Shout out to my brother Eli. He's another person that be on here with me. But unfortunately, knowing that how everything's going with the pandemic and his job, he's not able to get on. Shout out to Graphk Raider. And I don't know if y'all heard that song in the intro. That is Joshua's. Shout out to Graphk Raider for the song. Once a Raider, always a Raider song. That's a dope one there. But I'm happy to do another show. And how you feeling about the Raiders, knowing that you haven't been on in a while, but how you feel about the Raiders going into this 2020 season?
Honestly, I think they're a lot more talented. They got a lot of depth now, and depth was like big question marks, exiting last year. Now I think guys that actually could go down, other guys can step up, come in, make plays, and hopefully not even skip a beat.
I'm excited for this year. I think Mike Mayock and John Gruden did well in the draft. They did well in free agency. They went for big guys, but they didn't go for big guys where they had to overpay. So that's what I love what John Gruden and Mike Mayock did going into this 2020 year. But let's get straight into the topics. And the topics that I really have is the number one topic of the night, and that is Tyrell Williams. Now, it has come down the pipeline stating that Tyrell Williams is going to be out for the rest of the year of a torn labrum in his shoulder. So he has been placed on IR. But how you feel about this going, knowing that we won't have him, and most likely Brian Edwards or hopefully Zay Jones could probably get that number 2 receiver spot. How do you feel about that? Like, what's your input on that?
Well, first, I like it. A lot of people are sleeping on Nelson Aguilar, Zay Jones, Brian Edwards. Remember, he was actually considered a first-round talent that only fell because of injury. So, you're talking one of the first 4 or 5 receivers potentially off the board at this year's draft. As for Tyrell going down, it's unfortunate, but it's the good thing about that depth I was speaking about earlier. I think we've got a lot more depth that we can recover from that now, unlike last year. And Hunter Renfrow, I'm not really hearing anything on him, and I guess that's a good thing. I think Hunter's going to have a massive year. I think he's in for a really big year. He's got that rapport with Derek Carr built up from last year. It's going to take time for those rookies. Don't be expecting, temper your expectations. They are rookies. You know what I mean? They're going to come in. They're going to make mistakes because they're young, but the talent is there. And then I think with Zay, been working with Derek Carr all offseason, and then bringing in Nelson Aguilar. Now, obviously, as we go to the 6th wide receiver or whatever, that's kind of up in the air. There's no telling what they plan on doing.
And I can't agree. Well, I have to agree with you because Tyrell Williams came in to be a number 2 outside of AB. We all know what happened with the Antonio Brown situation. That's absolutely fine. But Tyrell Williams ended up coming to number 1 receiver. And now you get hurt for the second year in a row, and we gave you this money to be not even a top guy, but be the guy that you wanted to be that you wasn't in when you were with the Chargers. In the last 2 years that you've been here, it has not been going well for you. Yes, you started out great last week. Yes. And you started out not last week, but last year, especially the first week against the Denver Broncos, that first drive, that was everything. I love the fact that he, got that touchdown and everything. And yes, I have to say, it's time for Tyrell Williams to go. It's time for him to go. It's time for him to get released or trade him, get some type of value back for him, because I just don't understand. I just don't understand why he's gone until next season, and I'm just tired of it, in my opinion.
Well, he was a highly sought after free agent last year when the Raiders brought him in. Obviously injuries are unfortunate and they happen all the time. We've seen that firsthand. I mean, how many guys have we gotten in that's been injured, dinged up, missed several weeks of the season? So, I mean, as I said, it's unfortunate, for us watching, and unfortunate for him as well. I was actually expecting him to come in and, have a pretty good season. What was it? The first 4 games of the season last year, he scored touchdowns in the first 4 games.
Right.
So, I mean, the guy was fine in the end zone, but, as a number one, no, he was never a number one guy, but he's one hell of a complimentary piece, though. I think, we're going to miss him, but not as bad as what we did last year whenever he went out with the plantar fasciitis in his feet.
So now that, Williams is gone, from what we heard through training camp lately, we have seen Bryan Edwards get the first team starts. Now, how do you feel about Bryan Edwards, probably getting that spot, or do he battle it out with Zay Jones? Do he battle it out with Nelson Aguilar? In my opinion, I think yes. But I feel like if you want to put Bryan Edwards there, that means you're starting 2 rookies and a 1-year starter from last year. That's going to be tough. Understand that Bryan Edwards gives you that Michael Crabtree style of play when we had him in 2016. I completely understand that. But in the same token, I say go with Zay Jones just for the experience of as long as Zay Jones been in there. But how do you feel about that? Do you think Bryan Edwards get that starting job, or do you think like he battled it out with Nelson Aguilar and Zay Jones for that spot?
Well, from what I've been reading up on, watching, everything that I can, it sounds like they are huge on Bryan Edwards right now. I mean, I guess they brought him in to be the X receiver, and it sounds like he's going to start out that way. Obviously, as I've always said, there's a learning curve with rookies. Guys are going to come in, the game's a lot faster. They're not playing against kids anymore. They're playing against grown men. So they're going to have to learn that aspect. And then the other one is John Gruden's playbook. How well is he able to soak everything in? How many plays is he going to be able to know to run? Obviously, they say John Gruden's playbook is thick. So it's going to really come down to, how many of those plays does he feel comfortable in running? Zay Jones was there, mid-season last year, maybe before that? So, I mean, he's got a little bit more time in. And, same goes for Aguilar. I mean, he's brand new system and everything, too. So it's going to be – it may be a slow start, but I think as the season progresses and goes on, I think the guys are just going to keep getting better, and we'll let them battle it out on the field themselves.
Right. And I think that, like, even if Bryan Edwards don't get the spot, but I feel like with his size and his speed on third down situations where you need a 50-50 ball, I think Bryan Edwards is one of those wide receivers that we have could go get those 50-50 balls. Now, I do think Zay Jones get the starting spot just because he's been under this offense last year. And, he came over from the Buffalo Bills in a trade, and he really didn't see the field much, But now you have weapons like Henry Ruggs that can open up plays for you, and then a Hunter Renfrow, even a Darian Waller, that could come into this passing game that could open it up for, being Zay Jones, making him the number 2 or possibly the number 1. But right now, we all know that Henry Ruggs is going to be the number 1 as of right now, just because of his draft pick. But the wide receiver core is so much depth this year that I love it that we went out and addressed that, because we struggled last year at the wide receiver position. We struggled so bad. And I think Mike Mayock and John Gruden for going out and getting these receivers. And mind you, we still got some, I think I still got some like Aitman. I think he's still under, I think he didn't get released yet. I think Doss didn't get released yet. So we still got some other ones outside of Zay Jones. We still got some receivers that's not being talked about either.
Yeah, that's very true. A lot of people were in on the whole Keelan Doss, being the hometown kid from Oakland and all that. But, this is Aitman's third year in the system. It's time. It's make or break right now for Marcel. It's time to either come in, make a mark on this team, and at least get that wide receiver 6 on there. If Gruden and Mayock's not liking what they see on the field, I can honestly see them going out and maybe bringing somebody else in from the outside.
Okay. So we do have a question in the chat, and Anthony says, what do you guys think of the idea of signing Leonard Fournette? I've been getting this question a lot. And I feel as though when it comes to Leonard Fournette, I think it will be good for Josh Jacobs, but it would be bad. Just because though we did draft a running back, which was Lynn Bowden Jr. He's like a joker, so he could play a little bit of slot, a little bit of running back. And then we have, Jalen Richard, as well as probably be our number 2 RB, because we got rid of Ross Smith and William Stanback. So those two are gone. The question is, I have no problem bringing in Leonard Fournette. It's the character for me. The character is the problem, because Leonard Fournette had a problem with the organization in Jacksonville. He had a problem with the coaches in Jacksonville, and he's not getting the touches like he's a top guy because we have Josh Jacobs. I just don't see it happening. I would love to see it to have them two as a tandem, but I just don't see it happening just because of what Leonard Fournette thinks he's still a number 1 running back in this league, and to be behind someone that's a second year player, a first year player. I don't think he would take that just from his character alone for what I've seen. But you can take the floor. You can answer that question, Chad.
Honestly, I agree with you 100%. I think his mentality is an RB1. He wants to be treated as that. He wants to go to an organization where he can be the guy. Mm-hmm. Obviously, we've dealt with character issues before. We just did it last year. We do not need that. We are in rebuild mode. Josh Jacobs, I think, is the guy that can carry the load. I would love to see a guy coming in, a thumper type of running back that can go up the middle, a little bit different than what we've got with Josh Jacobs. But I just don't know if Fournette would take that. I'm the number 2 guy role. I really don't. I just don't think he'd want to come in. He wants to be the guy. And, just personality alone, by knowing him for the last few years, seeing what's going on in Jacksonville, I don't think he's going to take anything less. So I say he ends up with somewhere like maybe Chicago. Montgomery just went down, and really all they've got's Tariq Cohen after him. So, that seems to be the most logical landing spot for me for a guy like Leonard Fournette.
And Claude Sudell said, did Aitman get released? I didn't see any news on Aitman being released. So
not yet.
Not yet either. But when it comes to the depth chart of this wide receiver core, someone goes down, the next man got to step up. That's just what it is. And we have enough receivers in camp. Possibly, I don't think all of them would make the 53-man roster. I think the outside looking in is Aitman and Doss. I think we keep Nelson Aguilar and Zay Jones with Brian Edwards, Hunter Renfrow, and Henry Ruggs. I think Henry Ruggs, Hunter Renfrow, Brian Edwards, Nelson Aguilar, and Zay Jones are the 5 receivers that we keep on the 53-man roster. Aitman and Doss are the outside looking in when it comes to this wide receiver depth. But speaking of 53-man roster, we did have 6 roster moves, 6 moves that was, cut today, even though Tyrell Williams went down. He's on IR. So we end up waiving defensive end Sharif Finch, which we just got from the Tennessee Titans. He didn't stay long with us, so he did get waived. And Jordan Ruse. And I know me and Chad talked about it before we went live. We want to talk about Jordan Ruse. So you wasn't expecting that to happen. So what is your input on Jordan Ruse being waived?
honestly, I thought a guy with the starting experience that Jordan Ruse has in Seattle, I really thought he was going to be a valuable, asset to the team as a backup. But then I went over the roster, and it's like, how many guards are you going to keep? 5, 6? I wouldn't have seen that happen. You've got behind starters Jackson and Incognito. I mean, the rookie, so John Simpson out of Clemson. You got Denzel Good, that's in there. Lester Cotton. I mean, that's a guy that nobody really talks about all that much. Second-year guy out of Alabama. There's just a lot of depth there at the guard position. Now, honestly, I was still kind of shocked that we let him go. Just on experience alone. Plus, I think he's only, 25, 26 years old. So he's still young, still in the prime of his career. So I guess I wasn't really expecting that. Not this early anyway.
But shout out to everybody that's in the chat. Shout out to Dose of Dion. Dose of Dion 2.0, that is a Detroit Lions fan. He is a part of the Fan Network. So if y'all want to go over and shout him out, go ahead and show him love. Shout out to Robert. Shout out to Tay Hopkins on Facebook. Shout out to everybody that's live on the Spotlight Sports Network. We're live everywhere. This is the home of Spotlight Sports Network, which is the Spotlight Raiders Talk. So all this depth at the line, and we see all these guards that have not been cut yet. Who do you think makes that roster on that position? Because mind you, we're healthy as far as right now when it comes to our starting offensive line. So as far as the line behind us, who do you think will make the team, like as far as second string or third string? Because we have depth at every part of the offensive line. I think we addressed it in the draft and a little bit free agency. It's not even free agency, but like undrafted free agents too. So who do you think will be the best? I think roster deadline is when? It's
Saturday.
It's Saturday. So it's this Saturday because the NFL starts on Thursday with the Texans and the Chiefs, but whatever. But that's another story for another time. But who you think will actually remain on the team, according to you, when you just with training camp?
I should think the backups will be John Simpson and Denzel Good. I think those will be the main two guys backing up Richie Incognito and Gabe Jackson there on that line. Obviously, I think backing up Rodney Hudson at center is going to be Andre James. Apparently, they've raved about him. He's a converted tackle? Tackle is playing center. So, and they've just raved about his progress and everything too. I think we're a little bit weak at the backup tackle positions. I think we need somebody else. I think we need a swing tackle that could come in. I'm not sold on Brandon Parker. I keep seeing Brandon Parker get murdered every single week that he's out there.
Yeah,
so outside of Colton Miller and Trent Brown, I mean, we got Sam Young. He's 30, 31? So he's not in the prime of his career anymore. I mean, who you really going to take and have as that swing tackle if something were to happen? Trent Brown's even been banged up during camp and has missed some time. So to me, I think the Raiders really need to maybe even look into addressing a swing tackle type to bring in that can play both sides. Other than that, I think the interior of the line's phenomenal. And I still think we're going to have one of the best lines in all of football. I just think our depth at tackle is a little weak right now.
Okay. We do have some questions in the chat. So the question is, Jadeveon Clowney signed with the Raiders, do you think? I've talked about this topic so much, and I have to say, no, we're not going to sign Jadeveon Clowney. We're not. The guy wants too much money for what he's worth, and we don't have the cap. We don't have the cap space for him. We don't have the cap space for no Jadeveon Clowney. Would I love to have him? Yes. If we have the money, should we go after him? Yes. But unfortunately, we have to be realistic about the situation. I think our defensive line, if we have enough pieces to rotate, bringing in Malik Collins from the Dallas Cowboys, Carl Nassib, he have not had a well training camp, but I think if you give him a shot, he would come in and be a high motor. Especially with Mo Hurst. Mo Hurst is going to be a beast this year. I think Farrell's going to definitely upgrade himself. And then Max Crosby got to have another year like he had last year. So we have a rotation of defensive linemen, we don't need a Javion Clowney right now. We just know we have a Max Crosby that played just as well as Javion Clowney last year. So,
don't forget about Arden Key. Apparently, he's
Arden
blowing
Key
the
well,
roof off the place right now. This guy's
Right,
coming. This is year 3 for him.
He's going up the ranks. He's going up the
Yes.
depth chart on
Yes.
this. A lot of people thought that he was a forgotten person on this defensive line. And Arden Key is one of those guys that is proving himself that he deserves to be a Raider.
Yes. You know, a lot of people don't understand. Some people, it takes a little bit longer of time to adjust than it does others. Some guys can come in and from day one just be that star player. And it doesn't matter what round you're drafted in. I mean, look at Tom Brady. He was drafted in the 6th. You know, round don't mean anything. Guys have got to come in and perform. So you end up taking a look at this. It's like, man, Arden Key now in his 3rd year is starting to show out in front of the coaches and his teammates, and it's looking like he's unstoppable right now. And what even makes that even scarier, he's not even in line to start. This guy's just going to be a straight-up pass rush monster this year.
And I think it's going to help us out a lot with our defense, knowing that we have enough to rotate, so everybody don't have to play all 3 or 4 downs.
Yeah.
So we can have fresh legs and we can get to the quarterback, because that's been our problem. I mean, yes, Max Crosby did it on his own, but we need our defensive tackles to get some more pressures as well. And Clelin Ferrell, he's going to be moved around on that defensive line. He's not just going to be playing defensive end. He's going to play a little bit of D tackle, D end, go inside, outside. So people are going to have to match up with him. So I love what we did with our defensive line.
But what a lot of people don't understand is last year, Maurice Hurst, he was the 2nd most double-team defensive tackle in the NFL last year behind Aaron Donald.
Yeah.
How crazy is that? Well, he was actually the only interior, any type of rush that we had. I mean, you know, Jonathan Hankins, he's more of a run stopper to where I think Mo Hurst, I think getting Malik Collins in there, I think Mo Hurst blows up this year. I think Malik's going to bring that. And then we got Daniel Ross from the Cowboys as well, that for added for depth as well.
With
so, I mean, we got a lot of depth.
With a Rod Millinari at defensive line coach.
Yep. Yes.
So that just add more experience to boost Mo Hurst's confidence, because you're coming over with 2 veterans that played under, you know, Rod Millinari. So that's going to be a good look too. We have another question in here. It says, do you think if Odell does not do good on the Browns, something happens? Do you think the Raiders trade to get him? No. We don't want Odell Beckham Jr. It's money that has to be involved. Yes, even though that we have to, if we do a trade, we still will have to pay that money regardless. I would love to have Odell if it was a free agency type of sign, that would have been different. But trading and giving up some pieces that, you know, that might be valuable to our team just to get an Odell, I think we'll go with the wide receivers that we have. What you think, Chad?
I agree with you 100%. And we're talking about character. I mean, Odell's proven that one. I mean, let's get some guys. I love what Mayock and Gruden are doing. They're bringing in high character ball players. They always say it, people that love the game, you know, that they're good students of the game, and they're not going to be a distraction. We do not need that at all. And, you know, right now, especially with a young team, and not to mention, could you imagine Odell Beckham in Las Vegas right now?
Huh.
Right.
It would be a circus. It will be a circus. We don't want another Antonio Brown in here. We just don't want that. We moved on from that.
Let our guys get groomed. Yeah, you know, let our guys make a name for themselves. We drafted them for a reason. We brought them in for a reason. Let's give these guys a shot. Let's see what they got on Sundays out there. I guess we're going to find out here in a couple weeks.
Right. We'll find out here in a couple of weeks, and we go up against the Carolina Panthers on September 13th. I will be doing live play-by-play and reactions of that on this channel, so y'all do not want to miss that. And we'll go to some other questions here. And the next question, Anthony said, who wins the 3rd linebacking job on our base defense? Chad, I know a few names that I've seen in training camp that I can say, but I'm going to let you take the floor on this one.
I'm going to give it to Roquan McMillan. We traded for him for a reason. They got him this late for a reason. Now, with McMillan, I've got a friend of mine who's a big Dolphins fan. He was straight up irate that they got rid of him for what they did. We literally gave, a 4th round pick? And then we ended up getting Roquan McMillan and then their 5th round pick.
Right.
To be honest, man, they traded for somebody that could come in and help right away. Now, Roquan's not a guy that's going to get back and sack the quarterback. He's not a guy that's going to be able to cover tight ends out of the backfield. But that's why we ended up signing Corey Littleton and Nick Kwiatkowski to do just that. We needed a linebacker that is a thumper in the run game, and that's exactly what McMillan is. People seem to forget he was a 2nd-round pick out of Ohio State just a few years ago. This guy's still on his rookie contract, and I think he pencils in right away week 1. I love Nick Morrow, but you got to remember, this guy was an undrafted player. He plays with a lot of heart, but that skill set, just some of these other guys are just more talented than what he is. I like him as a solid backup, but I say Roquan McMillan starts week 1.
I have to agree. I love McMillan. And then there's another guy that I love that we bought in, Cal Emanuel from the Chargers. He's a different, I think them two are going to rotate at that 3rd linebacker position. Just because I love that he comes over from don't get me wrong, I'm not saying nothing bad about the Chargers, but he comes from a good defense. I mean, they're not a bad defense. And he's coming over from a Bosa that's over there that plays a little bit of linebacker, a little bit of a Melvin Ingram that's over there as well. So he comes from that background of that defense, and he brings strength to our linebacker core. And then you have those 2 guys as veterans that can coach up and help out there with Tanner Muse. Why not? I think those 2 should stay. Yes, I love Nick Morrow. I love Markel Lee, but Markel Lee stays injured every single time. So having Nicholas Morrow, having McMillan and Emmanuel to help out Tanner Muse as far as being a veteran and learning this defense. But right now, McMillan is going to be our 3rd starting linebacker, and he's going to thump and he's going to bring the pain for this defense. He's going to bring it. Corey Littleton, we already know what he can do. Kowalski, we already know what he can do. But McMillan, he's going to prove everybody wrong on why the Dolphins should have never traded him. Flores, thank you so much. We really do appreciate it.
One of my big questions is what's going to happen with Javin White, the undrafted free agent out of UNLV, the Oakland native. All of a sudden, here we go back to this depth thing again. All of a sudden, now we've got 7 linebackers that could potentially make this roster. And what are we going with last year? 3 to start the season? That was it?
I can say this. Javin White is going to have to be, mind you have a right outside linebacker, left outside linebacker, middle linebacker. If he doesn't make that right outside linebacker, he's going to have to be on the depth chart for at least inside or at least for left outside linebacker.
Yeah.
We do need J Dog said we do need 7 linebackers, laughing my behind off. But yeah, why not? As much as our linebackers has been the weakest part of our defense for how many years, why not?
You got it.
Why not have 7 linebackers on the roster? Our defense has been the Achilles heel every single year. Yes, we had problems on offense where we couldn't get in the end zone, but we scored points. But our defense could not get themselves off the field. Why not? I really hope Javin White makes the team because that is a stud. That is a stud that should have been drafted, but he came out as an undrafted free agent. But I think he makes this team. I think he makes it.
7 linebackers. Wow, that's going to be a different look.
Or
in all the good ways. That's good.
But you got to think about it too. Taylor Muse playing the safety position. So if he doesn't be on a depth chart as a linebacker, he could be on the depth chart as a safety. So that puts in place for a Javin White to make the roster.
I agree. But man, are we loaded at safety too? We got 4 or 5 guys back there right now that can play. We're not even talking about Lamarcus Joyner, who can either be a slot or go back to free safety. We got a lot of interchangeable pieces on that defense. I like it.
A lot of interchangeable pieces that I think that it can help. And we need all the depth. We didn't have no depth last year at all. None. That's why we signing signing people and trading people and getting trades and stuff like that because we didn't have no depth. Understand
Right.
it's sad to say that we have to have a 53-man roster and some of these players have to go, but I'm sorry, but we have to keep these linebackers and keep these corners and keep these safeties. It got to happen. I think our rotation at defensive line is already fine.
Yep.
It's just the linebackers in the back end that we need the depth on.
Yep.
You said, let me see. All right, let's see anything else. I know it's not a Raiders question, but they said, how do you feel about the Alvin Kamara situation? Now, news has came out stating that Alvin Kamara, in the New Orleans Saints, they're looking to trade Alvin Kamara. Now, what does this mean for the Raiders? This doesn't mean anything for the Raiders. And I'm going to tell you why. It doesn't mean anything because we have our joker. We have our receiving running backs. Alvin Kamara is a talent. Don't get me wrong. He's a talent. But he just doesn't fit with the rest of our running backs. It just doesn't. It doesn't fit the system. So with the Alvin Kamara question, I mean, hopefully he could, stay with the New Orleans Saints, but he doesn't fit for the Raiders. It doesn't benefit us at all.
I just have a feeling this is kind of a ploy. I had read something up on it to where his agent even said they had never heard anything from New Orleans stating that they were looking to move him in a trade. So I don't know how much that was the media blowing things out of proportion or what it is, because he had missed, the last couple of days of camp, looking for that contract extension.
Out, I guess for contract reasons.
And he said they thought they were actually getting close to coming to an agreement somewhere. So I see Alvin back in New Orleans come week 1. So I don't think there's going to be any issue on that.
Absolutely. I definitely do agree with that. But make sure everybody go over to Spotlight Sports Network's YouTube channel. And this is so Spotlight Sports Network is the home for Spotlight Raiders Talk. So make sure y'all go over to that YouTube channel, which is called Spotlight Sports Network. Now, the next question that we have is from Roy, and Roy is a member of the Spotlight. He has a membership with the Spotlight Raiders Talk. I love the tattoo, by the way. I think the tattoo is really dope. He said, you think Amik Robinson would beat Joyner for the starting spot?
You know what? I say eventually. I don't know if it's going to be week 1, but I think it's going to be sooner rather than later. Joyner got beat a lot. To me, whenever he played at his best, it was at free safety, not as a slot corner. Amik Robertson, what is he? He is a atypical slot cornerback. Now, I know the Raiders have been playing him even on the outside. They've been moving him around since we released Prince Amalkamura yesterday. They've been moving, Amik to the sides now, playing on the outside. So, once again, interchangeable pieces. Once again, the depth thing comes up. Here we go again. A lot of depth at the cornerback position finally. Nobody's even talking about Isaiah Johnson or Keyshawn Nixon, or even the undrafted kid, Mondre Harper. I mean, all of a sudden now we got a lot of guys that could go in and make plays. It's gonna be fun to see who ends up making this roster. But as for Amik taking LaMarcus Joyner's spot, I think it'll eventually happen. I just don't think it'll be in week 1.
So I don't think it would be in week 1 either. That's just another stud that we got out the draft, another steal that we got out the draft, in my personal opinion. And just to say, I think he will take his spot. But if LaMarcus Joyner does end up, not progressing like he was supposed to last year, if he doesn't improve, then Amik Robinson takes this spot. This is a make or break year for LaMarcus Joyner because he has one of our biggest contracts on this roster. So LaMarcus Joyner, you're gonna have to play for your life when it comes to this season because these youngsters, we just see what happened, like you said, we just see what happened with Prince Amalkamara. Damian Harris was outplaying him the whole game. The whole training camp. Damian Harris, and everybody thought Damian Harris was a reach. The guy was not a reach. The guy just outplayed a 31-year-old veteran that knows the NFL wide receivers. Even though that we know Prince Amalkamara has not been great since he came in the league, but he's still a veteran that knows how to play corner. He knows how to play corner. But at the end of the day, Joyner is a young guy's coming for your spot. So you got to show up. Show up or shut up.
The thing about Arnett, you know, he was overshadowed because of who he had on the opposite side of him there at Ohio State. You know, you have Jeff Okudah over there. He's going to overshadow you. Yep. A lot of people don't understand this. And I live in Illinois, so I live in Big Ten country. So I get to see all this all the time. People were not targeting that side. They were targeting David Arnett's side of the field more so than anything. And he made plays. That's all he did was he made plays. I trust what Mayock does. Honestly, out of all, before Mayock even became our GM, he was the one I followed for all my draft information was Mike Mayock. And right. Whoever he takes, you know what? I'm good with that. You're the man. You're the pro. And, you know, I agree with his pick. And now look at what he's doing. The guy's been falling out all camp long.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So let's go into another question here. They saying it's not really a question, but they just making statements. It says our special teams will be revamped like crazy, and nobody's talking about that. That's where this depth comes in at. That's where the depth comes in. That's where the depth comes in at, because we're gonna have so much talent on special teams. Now, just imagine if you put Nelson Aguilar in kick returns or punt returns with that speed. Just imagine. Like, yeah, he's going to see the field on the offense, but just imagine seeing him and Lynn Bowden back there, you know, with the speed that those two guys have, and they can make plays. I would love it. I mean, special teams is going to be very interesting to watch. That's the third phase of the complete football team. Offense, defense, special teams. If you have that third phase, you are a championship team, in my opinion.
Hey, I agree with you 100%. I think the only question mark I've got going in, is Daniel Carlson as our kicker. The first year we got him, the guy was money every game. Last year he had a down year. But we brought in Dominic Eberle, whom we cut, last month?
Yep.
Early on. So apparently Carlson's done enough to take that job again without anybody competing with him. But that was actually my only concern about the whole special teams was our kicking job. And it looks like Daniel Carlson's got that locked down without anybody even challenging him for it. So hopefully he bounces back this year.
Yeah, I think Carlson is gonna bounce back this year. I think he is. I think we are in a new stadium. We are in a new scenery. I think a lot of people are going to revamp their careers this year. Even Derek Carr. I think Derek Carr is going to people keep talking about Derek Carr, keep talking about this, keep talking about that, what Derek Carr didn't do and stuff like that. This guy is in a new scenery. He's not in the city of Oakland anymore, which I'm kind of sad that they did leave Oakland. But at the same time, if you look at that stadium, it's like, darn, if we would never left Oakland, we would never had that stadium. So I think Derek Carr is pumped. I think he's ready to go. I think Derek Carr is one of those guys that people need to look out for in this run. I'm not going to say MVP, but I'm going to say improved. Absolutely. Packers Nation 12 says, great to see you, man. Thank you so much. J Dog says, we should hold off on Fournette and just draft another bruiser later on. Yeah, I think we should go, get another. If some running backs are in the draft that Gruden loves, he's going to go get. If Mike Mayock and Gruden loves the kid, they're going to go get it because they see the potential in. That's what I love about their way of drafting and getting players. If they love the guys, if they see the guy's potential, I can't go wrong with that. Another question came is, what about us getting Jaylen Ramsey and another free agent wide receiver next year? What about Kenny Galladay? That's an interesting question there. I don't want to get Jaylen Ramsey. I don't want him. I would love to get him. I love his talent. He's just another character. That's the problem. His character. Like most of these corners that's veterans and they're cocky and stuff like that, and they think they're bigger than the team, I don't want. And that's what Jaylen Ramsey is. Jaylen Ramsey thinks he's bigger than the team. And I don't want that type of player. Talent is awesome. Character stinks. Chad, how you feel about that?
I agree with you. I mean, I couldn't agree with you more. Now for the Kenny Galladay, oh man, that would be phenomenal. Talk about revamping a wide receiver room. You got to be kidding me if you get Galladay. I mean, especially if guys like Ruggs, Edwards, Jones, Aguilar, all them kind of panned out this year and did really great. Then we go out and get a Kenny Golladay to add to that wide receiver room. Seriously, I mean, that's ridiculous. I mean, that would just be phenomenal. And you don't ever hear about him in the news doing things that's going to hurt the team off the field.
Right.
So, to me, out of both of them, don't want any part of Jaylen Ramsey, like what you said, but Golladay, why not?
Yeah, I would love to get Golladay next season. A veteran wide receiver that stays healthy and is consistent with the Detroit Lions. It's sad to say that he's with the Detroit Lions, but I don't think he's coming back there. That guy puts up numbers. I even got Kenny Golladay in the draft. I got him in our fantasy draft because he's a very underrated wide receiver in this league. A lot of people sleep on Kenny Golladay. God puts up numbers every week. He does. Everybody want to go for the DeAndre Hopkins and the Julio Jones and Odell Beckhams of the world. Get a guy that's going to work, and that is Kenny Golladay. He's going to work, and I think if you see him in the silver and black, awesome. And with the style play that he comes along with, that he knows how to separate and get away from defenders, love it. I would love to get Kenny Golladay next year. Next question is rather sign Clowney over Fournette. Raekwon is a great pickup. I'd rather don't sign either. Like, I mean, if Javion Clowney wants to get a 1-year deal for like $7 million, sure, I'll take that. But if he wants like $15 to $17 million for like a couple years, then no. But Raekwon McMillan is a great pickup. That's why I said we shouldn't get Clowney. Why get Clowney when we got Raekwon McMillan to play that linebacker spot? I'll take McMillan right now. Ingo is the short yardage bruiser. That is true as a fullback. He can play running back as well, but I can see that. I can see that as well.
He can catch.
Yes, and he could catch. He's a 1-year player too. I really thought Ingo was.
Yeah.
I thought he was like in the league longer the way he played last year.
Huh?
He said we should really consider a running back from Alabama. He is similar to Derrick Henry. Damian Harris. I do my Damian Harris. I think Damian Harris did get drafted to the Broncos, if I'm not mistaken. I think his name is Damian Harris. I think he got drafted.
He's in New England. Damian Harris is a Patriot.
Oh, he's a Patriot. Yeah, he's a Patriot, not Broncos. He's a Patriot. So if they have a bruiser from Alabama coming out, that's another thing too. We just don't really know what's going on with college football. So trying to analyze, players, that's going to be tough. That's going to be tough knowing that college football might start around the same time as when basketball is going on, baseball is going on, WNBA is going on. The pandemic had us so condensed with sports right now. It's going to be tough for these national televisions to make sure they can cover everything. It's going to be tough. But Harris is a beast, but he's with the Denver Broncos, not Denver Broncos, he's with the New England Patriots, and hopefully we can find someone that's probably out of Alabama that could be a bruiser. Next question. Remember I told you Josh Jacobs will have 1,400 plus yards if he plays all 16 games. The so-called experts agree. You have to remind JJ missed 3 games. It was on a team playing from behind, which I don't mind him getting 1,400 rushing yards, but I don't want it to get to a point where he's banged up by the playoffs. You get what I'm saying? He's banged up by the playoffs. Like, say if we make the playoffs and Josh Jacobs got 1,400 plus rushing yards and played all 16 games, if we don't have no bye week for him to relax, he's going to be worn out. 1,400 yards is a lot on a running back. It's a lot that you have to take. Yes, I would love for him to get 1,400 rushing yards, but you gotta go with your playmakers too. You just can't keep giving the ball to Jacobs. You have to give the ball to sometimes to Rashard, sometimes to Lynn Bowden Jr. You gotta share. Oh, it's Najee Harris. It's Najee Harris, not Damian Harris. I'm sorry. It's Najee Harris. I'm sorry, but like I was saying, 1,400 yards, fine. I'm good with that, but you gotta share the ball. Only what's going to happen with Henry Ruggs on a jet sweep, or a Henry Ruggs or a yard after the catch, or something of that nature. Because John Gruden's going to open up this playbook. When we got Antonio Brown in the trade, he changed that whole playbook just for Antonio Brown. Now he's revamping his whole offense with these weapons. So he's going to have to share the ball. Do I think he gets at least 1,300 or at least like 1,250? Yes. I think 13 is the maximum for me. What you think, Chad?
I actually think he's going to be involved in the passing game a lot more this year. They've talked about that. We had good hands in Alabama. I don't understand why they didn't use him in the passing game that much last year. I wasn't there at practices, so I have no idea what was going on. But it seems like this year they're going to use him more so in the passing game. He's going to get his touches. He's going to get his yards. I see him going over 1,200 rushing. But also see him, I see him catching 50-plus passes this year in that passing game. I see them really utilizing him for the talent that he is and using him in all phases of the game. When you got a talent like that, you have to use him.
You have to. So they said Najee Harris. J. Daw said the slot corner is the weakest. I think Amik Robinson will definitely change that once we get him underway. God, I don't like Joyner on his team. He needs to go ASAP.
Give him a chance. That was just his first year. If he has another season, I'll agree with you.
Oh, Najee Harris is still at Alabama. That's only if we have a first-round pick, and I think I don't think we settle for a first-round pick to get a running back. I don't think so.
No.
I had high hopes for Joyner, but nah, bro, not anymore. They said Joyner was a letdown. Oh, wow. Joyner was a letdown.
I agree.
Yeah, Joyner was a letdown. Absolutely, he was a letdown. Now, I do have a topic for you that I think you might like. This one is the 5 keys to success for the Las Vegas Raiders in 2020 season. Now, this is according to justblogbaby.com. I'm gonna explain what the 5 keys to success, and I'm gonna give you my own, and you can give us your own 5 keys to success for this season. Number 1. They said that the revamped linebacking core, and we talked about this linebacking core so long. And I think the linebacking core is one of the keys to the success of the Raiders defense. And I even just the Raiders to win in general, because let's look at last year, y'all. Terrible linebacker. We got rid of Tahir Whitehead. He's gone. And we just didn't have no depth there either. So it sucked. So I think linebackers is the first key to success. And the next one they're saying is the improvement of Cleveland Farrell. Now, I want to say it's a success. I think he was a rookie. He had a rookie slump. Understanding that every rookie is not a Max Crosby. You know what I'm saying? Not a Max Crosby. Max Crosby came out off the radar. Nobody expected for him to play the way he played. They didn't expect that. So the improvement of Cleveland Farrell could be a key to success, but I think it was just a rookie year where he was just learning. Now he's under the same scheme. Now he got a defensive line coach that's going to push him to be better. So, yeah, I can see it being a success, but then at the same time, no. Jonathan Abram and Trayvon Mullen lead in the secondary. That's the third key to success. Now, I can say that. Now, we got Demarius Randall, right? Demarius Randall, I have much respect for. And this guy is going to help out Jonathan Abram. He's going to help him out at that safety position. And people say, oh, we go young at the corners. But let's not forget that that Demarius Randall played corner as well. So if our young corners need help, they have a mentor in Demarius Randall. Mind you, Demarius Randall played corner and safety in Green Bay. He did it when he was with Green Bay. He didn't do it with the Browns, but he can still help us out. So I think Trayvon Mullen is going to have a great year. And I think Trayvon Mullen is going to be the leader when it comes to corners. Abram. I'm sorry. No, Abram. I'm sorry. It's Abram. People say I get his name wrong all the time. Yeah. So I think that is it for the third one. The fourth one is the rookie wide receivers. We know what these rookie wide receivers is going to do. We know. I think that we already got it down packed that Brian Edwards, yes, he's getting the hype just because of Tyrell Williams. And Henry Ruggs, the speed kills. Al Davis made that pick for us. Not Mike Mayock and John Gruden. Al Davis made that pick because speed kills. That's enough said when it comes to the rookie wide receivers. And the last but not least, Derek Carr. Number 5. Derek Carr. No, actually, number 1. I'm sorry. That's number 1. Derek Carr. Derek Carr has to be the reason for our success this year. But that's not my 5. That is according to justblogbaby.com. How do you feel about that 5? Do you think that they should switch some things out with that 5, Chad?
Honestly, yeah, I do. I think one of the biggest and main things right now for the team as a whole, I'm not going to single out anybody. The team has got to finish in the red zone. How many times was our offense able to drive the ball down the field? We had to settle for a field goal attempt. You've got to finish drives with a touchdown. That's a big thing. I agree with the linebackers. You know, quite obviously that was like a weak link on that side of the ball. You know, I don't know why they keep dogging Cleveland. You know, he's a rookie. I mean, I understand he was a 4th overall pick in the draft. I get it. And I really like Cleveland Farrell. And, you know, he's a smart kid. He knows what he's doing. And I think he's going to be he's going to have a monster year this year. He was moved all over the defensive line, playing tackle for the first time. He had never done that in his career. A lot of people don't grasp that. That was a brand new thing to him. So, you know, honestly, you know, with that, of course, obviously we got to maintain, you know, a good pass rush, you know, make sure we're getting after the quarterback from the inside. You got to break that pocket down from the interior. I think that's why bringing in a Malik Collins, who's going to help out a Maurice Hurst, that's going to really free those guys on the outside. When you talk about Farrell, Crosby, Key, Carl Nassib, you know, when you free those guys up because you're getting that interior push, man, that's going to be big. To me, as I said, get that interior push on the defensive line, score in the red zone, finish drives. And obviously with Derek Carr, I don't understand all of it. You know, it baffles me. The man threw for over 4,000 yards without a typical number 1 receiver. Our leading receiver was rookie Hunter Renfrow. Okay? Right. That goes to show you how much depth we didn't have last year at that position. You know, you complete 70% plus of your passes. You throw for over 4,000 yards. He did his job. Obviously, you can't finish without talent around you. Derek don't have excuses now. And I'm not trying to make excuses. He has the dogs behind him to end up getting that, 21 touchdowns to 8 picks last year?
Yep.
Something like that. Yeah, 21 to 8.
Yeah, he had
pretty good numbers. I mean, his touchdown numbers were low.
Single digit interceptions. I take
right,
that.
Exactly. So, I mean, I know the 21 touchdowns are low, but what do you expect when you've got a lack of talent at wide receiver? So I think that's going to be another thing, but Derek's got to show out. I understand. I mean, people's expecting this, and I think he will this year with the guys that we have. And our offensive line staying healthy, especially at tackle. And I'm looking at Trent Brown. You know, the guy's got to stay healthy. He's got to stay out there. When he plays, he's one of the best right tackles in the game, if not the best right tackle in the game. And the improvement of Colton Miller from year 2 to year 3 now. So I think to me, those are the biggest 3. He's right there.
Yeah, so I'm gonna go through a few of these comments that they've been saying. So might need to take a look at a veteran wide receiver. If there's one out there, I don't mind taking a veteran wide receiver for a small signing. Mo Hurst is going to ball out with Marinelli. Yup, I agree with that. Farrell looks better. Not going to lie. You can see him pushing. You see him pushing work, getting better. Yup. Throw the ball to Jacobs was another one. Get more turnovers. Huh. Yes. Yes. You right on the money, Melvin Barlow. You're on the money with that one. Yes.
Got to flip that field position.
Biggest thing. I see more turnovers this year for sure. Fierce Raider 88. I think Farrell will break out this year. Malik Collins and Crosby will be accounted for, not to mention Mo Hurst. Yup. So that's true too. Arden Key is pushing Naismith down the depth chart. He is going to surprise people. I'm very impressed with Arden Key. I am very impressed with Arden Key. People
I'm going to go out here right now, and I'm going to say Arden Key has at least, bare minimum, 10 sacks this year.
Woo! Y'all heard that hot take from Chad. Y'all heard the hot take. Y'all heard the hot take. Wow.
Mark it down.
Mark it down. Make it or break a year for DC, I still believe. Okay. Uncle Joe says, here comes the excuses. I'm sorry. There's no excuses for Derek Carr this year. I'm sorry. You can't take away a 4,000 passing yard quarterback. You can't take that away. You can't. Yes, we did go 7-9. But like I said, Derek Carr is the leader of the team. Everybody expects the quarterback to be the reason why we're 7-9. Look at special teams and look at defense. If you don't have all three phases of the game in football, no matter if it's little league, no matter if it's high school, middle school, high school, college, professional, no matter what level that you play, if you don't have three phases of a game, the quarterback does fail. The team fails. And that's been the problem with, mainstream media. They want to blame everything on the quarterback. But nobody don't want to talk about, what was the Raiders' defensive ranking last year? Oh. Nobody want to talk about that.
I don't want to talk about it.
I'm going to talk about how many points Kansas City Chiefs put on us in the two games that we played them. Nobody want to talk about that. Nobody want to talk about how we was up against Jacksonville and that defense let us down in that game. Nobody want to talk about that. So that's another story for another time. But I'm not saying I'm not making excuses for Derek Carr. I just feel like as a quarterback, Derek Carr needs help, and not just offensively, but defensively and special teams. That's it. People sleep on Arden Key. Remember, he was a first-round talent out of LSU. Yes. We just waiting for him to blow up. That's what I'm waiting for. I'm waiting for him to blow up, and I think he's going to blow up this year. You think so, Chad?
Oh, I agree. Oh, yeah, definitely. I like Melvin, man. He has some – he's good. I like him. He knows what he's talking about.
Jason Edwards said, does Gabe Jackson survive cuts? Yes. Why will we cut Gabe Jackson? I understand you had contract disputes and all that other stuff, or rumors of him saying that he's going to be traded. No. Gabe Jackson is staying with the Raiders. He's staying in silver and black, and we're going to be the best offensive line in football, period.
Thing about it is releasing Gabe Jackson makes absolutely no sense because he's got an $11 million cap hit. You're not going to just give that up. He'll be on the team and starting.
Right. So J-Dog says, if Carr doesn't stub his pinky and fling the ball in the end zone, we will be good. At the same time, you gotta blame John Gruden for the 3-yard slants. he gotta tell Derek Carr to be a gunslinger. He was a gunslinger in 2016. They let him throw the ball. Throw the dang ball. Throw the dang ball. Omar says Mariota is struggling. Everyone is bashing Carr, but you're not winning any playoff games with a top 20, let alone a Super Bowl. Yeah, defense wins championships. And Mariota's been struggling. I'm not surprised that he is struggling. I'm not surprised that he's struggling, and I'm going to tell you why. He lost his job to Ryan Tannehill. He lost his job to Ryan Tannehill. He struggled the same way he's struggling now that he was struggling in Tennessee. It's no different. But everybody thought when we signed Marcus Mariota, oh, he's going to take Derek Carr's job. But who's out playing who in training camp right now? Derek Carr. Enough said. Enough said on that one. Let's go to some more of these comments. Strong statement. I was going to say 6 for Key. I need Farrell and MC to have 10 sacks. If Key gets 10, we're a top 5 defense. Okay, so he said you can't throw the ball away on 4th down. You can't fumble a ball out of bounds 2 years in a row. Understanding that, I can see that, but it has been other quarterbacks that did it, not just Derek Carr. It has been quarterbacks in the league that have done it. And you got to think about it. Those when he fumbled out the end zone, he's getting hit out the end zone. He's not like he's going into the end zone and he's throwing it. He's reaching out and he's getting hit. So fumbling in the end zone is half his fault, and the defense knocks him out of bounds. It just happens that way.
I'm not going to say Carr's not without his faults because he is.
Right.
All the quarterbacks are. I mean, they all have their own faults. I'm sure Derek's going to learn from that, and I'm sure Gruden shoot him up one side or another. So I just have a feeling he's got a good breakout year this year and quiet all of his critics.
Right. I just feel like every quarterback in the league has flaws. You can't be perfect. Any quarterback can't be perfect. Everybody think about Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes has some bad games too. Like, and
he started out. Yeah, he started out struggling last year.
Right. He started out struggling. So every quarterback has, some type of issues or they struggle. Carr had a few mistakes, but it was that defense. Thank you, J-Dog. Thank you. We said enough about it. Defense is on the rise this year. Book it. Absolutely. Absolutely going to book that. What are your win and loss predictions for the Raiders 2020? Now, I did my loss and win-loss predictions for 2020. But I'm gonna let you go, Chad, because I know you didn't. I know they don't know what your prediction is for the Raiders this year.
Well, I looked up and down the schedule, and you remember the last time, 2016, when we made the playoffs, correct? You know what NFC division we played? We played the NFC South. Guess who we play this year? The NFC South. I'm saying a little bit. I'm going to go, my prediction, they're going to surprise a lot of people. And I don't think they win the division. I think they finish second to Kansas City. But they're going to finish second to Kansas City with an 11-5 mark. I know. I took it up. I love the defense. I love the weapons. I love the Marinelli coming in. It just seems like everything is kind of, this is an awkward year, is it not? 2020 has been a weird year. Why not us? Why not us?
That is true. That is true. Me, I have us. I'm just nervous about those first 5 to 6 games. We got to go to Carolina. We got to play Drew Brees in that Saints offense. We got Tom Brady in those Buccaneers. So it's going to be tough. It's going to be. We got the NFC South and the AFC South, which is AFC South is not as bad, but we all know the NFC South is tougher. They're the games I'm really concerned about. I'm not really care for Denver. I really don't care for the Chargers. They just lost Derwin James again. So that defense is about to be decimated again. And they got Tyrell Taylor or Justin Herbert as a quarterback. I'm not really big on the Chargers. I think we could sweep both of those teams. We will split with the Chiefs. But it's going to be those outside games that I'm going to be nervous about. Some of them trap games, like the Indianapolis Colts, that could be a trap game. The Miami Dolphins, that could be a trap game. Just don't know. But I do have us second in the division at 10-6. 10-6.
We were close.
Right, 10-6. I would take a 10-6 any day. Take it any day or 11-5. I was thinking 9-7 at some sorts just because of they expanding the playoffs this year. Because they expanding it. They went from 6 to 8 teams in the league. So even if the Raiders go 9-7, we still got a chance to get in. So that's why I said 9-7. But I'm thinking more 10-6 than anything.
I'm very overly optimistic.
Right. Right. Someone said maybe you should get a veteran wide receiver. What about getting Taylor Gabriel? Uh, nah, he's more like a slotster. He wouldn't be a number 2. But he's fast. He's fast. But even with think about it, we still got Rico Gafford. We still got him too. So it's just another wide receiver that we have on our depth chart that have speed. So Taylor Gabriel, nah, I'll take a Rico Gafford right now. Dominique 5 says because of the defense is always on the field, Kansas City against KC, plus y'all have to admit Carr looked like crap every time we go to KC, and that is a fact. We know this. I think me and Chad agree. When he goes into the Arrowhead Stadium, he stinks. He stinks. But at the same time, that defense is on the field 30 to 40 minutes at a time. Because that offense just score fast. They score on the first play, and that's it. Like what? Oh, heck no. Like it ain't gonna be like that this year. It ain't.
Nope.
Even though they gave the 10 years for Patrick Mahomes and the 6-year extension for Andy Reid. Who cares? Who cares? No, Carr has this thing he does in pool basketball. He plays in his house. Got a habit of flicking the ball into the hoop. Okay. Okay, Omar, thanks for the $5 donation. So much. Thank you so much for the $5 donation. He says everyone loves Mac, but was Mac for the Colts game in DC? Who brought us back? I say stick with him and draft the QB. Well, where was Khalil Mack when he played against us when he was on the Bears and he didn't get a sack? Thanks for wanting out. Thanks for wanting out, Khalil Mack, because you end up giving us the Josh Jacobs in these draft picks. Thank you, Khalil Mack. We do appreciate it. Carr has no weapons, a bad defense, so Gruden adjusted. Carr bombed the ball deep to Holmes, Jones, Crabtree, and Coop. He can do it. What you think about that tape, Chad?
Oh, he could definitely sling the ball down the field. He just didn't have the talent to, around him to get the ball down the field last year. Obviously now we got one of the fastest guys in the league with Henry Ruggs III. We're going to see that again. I believe it's going to be opened up. I believe a lot of offenses are actually drawn up with the talent that you have on the field. I don't think Gruden really was like, hey, you know what? Let's just open this up and sling the ball down the field. They didn't have the horses for that last year. That was not the Raiders' game last year. This is a brand new year. We got brand new playmakers. We got speed. We got a lot better. And I think obviously it's going to open up that vertical passing game.
RJ Dahl said if Carr had the weapons like he did this year, we'll be able to score in the red zone. Agree. Dominique Evans says 9 wins. I say 10-6 or 11-5. I'm being Chad had me very optimistic right now, the way he's talking. So I'm thinking 10-6 or 11-5. Eric says, I agree. Carr did a little with what he had. Sure did. I saw Carr miss a wide open read for a check down. Can't happen. Some quarterbacks do it. It's not just Carr. Carr has beat Breeze before. He sure did. In New Orleans, 2016 MVP year before he got hurt.
Week one.
We won that game. We beat Drew Brees before.
Yep.
And now they got to come to us. And now just imagine if the fans was in the stands for that game.
Be crazy. Crazy atmosphere. And Monday Night Football to boot.
They wouldn't be able to take that crowd, man. Tyrell Williams on IR helps us able to keep Gafford. That is another reason, I keep forgetting about Rico Gafford. The guy is fast. He did have a touchdown. I think it was last year or the year before against I think when we played the Miami Dolphins. I don't know if it was preseason or not, but we see that if we could get Gafford down the field with Nelson Aguilar with his speed and both of their speeds, it's the sky's the limit for this offense. There's just so many ways that we can beat teams.
He got one pass for 75 yards for a touchdown.
75 yards. And it was beautiful, too. It was beautiful. All right, so Ace is wild said, no fans in Arrowhead. We should have a chance this year. Yeah, but they're going to try to find a way to have like sound where you have the Arrowhead fans going in. Question is, can Derek Carr, even with that sound, can he still do what he do? Even though it's sound, it's still sound. It's still not an actual crowd, but it is what it is. But I take it. I take it. No fans in the stands. 11-5. J Dog says. Dominique Fox says, well, J Dog says it's cold. It's the cold, not the fans. Apparently, that could probably be the case too. A lot of teams that comes out of a West Coast quarterback. Yeah, that could happen. Robert says, in your opinion, what is our weakest position on offense and on defense? I'm gonna let you answer this question, Chad. The weakest part on our weakest position on offense and defense.
That's tough. Actually, looking at offense, I would have to say the offensive tackle, just because of lack of depth. I think we still need to find someone to play that swing tackle position. Somebody to fill. I'm not really sold on David Sharp. I'm really not sold on Brandon Parker, Sam Young, some of the guys that we brought in. I'm not really sold on that. As for defense, man. Man, that's tough because we've really improved on all three phases of that defense.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that's tough. I'm going to have to go with linebacker because these guys haven't played together. We know the talent's there, but they just haven't played together. As a team. I think it'll take a little bit of time to get adjusted, but I think after that they're going to be fine. But it's tough to really say because as much money, draft picks that they put into players in free agency and in the draft, especially at that position, and the whole defense as a whole, to be honest with you, it's kind of hard right now until I actually physically see them play for a few weeks anyway, just to see what's going on there.
Yeah, I have to agree with you, Chad, knowing that linebacker core, yes, they are. We have that great talent. We just had not having preseason games. A lot of people are there's going to be a lot of mishaps in the NFL these first couple of weeks because no preseason games. Then we get rid of players because of no preseason. But yeah, it's the linebacker core for me, and it's definitely the tackle position as what you said. So yeah, I have to agree there. So Melvin Barlow says that Gruden is not an aggressive play caller. Remember when he was traded and Bill Callahan came in and we had the highest scoring offense and went to the Super Bowl. Mind you, in that time when he was with the Buccaneers, he wasn't an aggressive play caller, but I feel like I hope John Gruden really understands we are in a new age of NFL offenses. We are in a new age of NFL offenses. We can't go with a 2002, 2000. I don't mind the out formation here and there, but we have too many weapons at the wide receiver position that you got to open up this playbook, go into some spread, go into some trips, go into a 3 wide receiver with 2 receivers on one side, 1 on the other. You got to go into different types of formations to confuse the defense. If you're going to keep pounding the ball, which I don't mind because it helps the passing game. But we have to be balanced, and that's where John Gruden has to figure it out. What you think, Chad?
Quite honestly, if we're going to go back to the time where Gruden was traded to Tampa for all them draft picks, blah, 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 and Callahan took over. Callahan ran John Gruden's offense. He never changed a thing. He literally ran the exact same John Gruden offense all the way till the Super Bowl. Hence the reason why Tampa Bay, and I hate to say it, just clobbered the crap out of us in that Super Bowl. I listened to interviews with John Lynch. They knew what was coming. They seen the formations. They knew exactly what play was coming, who was going where. So to say that the offense got better with Callahan, I can't roll with that one. I can't. Because it was the exact same offense that Gruden had when he was there. And then the Super Bowl just proved it. Whenever Tampa was calling out every offensive play, Rich Gannon was calling it the line. They already knew what was coming.
Even if they did watch film and prepare for the Super Bowl, they already knew what was happening because Callahan didn't change nothing of their offense. No adjustments, no nothing to get John Gruden off his game. That's just what it was at the time. So Omar says, let me see. We go to a few of these here. Okay, so Robert says, is there a free agent player or a player you think we need to get or trade for? I don't know who's left the free agency. In my opinion.
I think we'd have to wait till after cut downs. After roster cut downs, we'll get more of a definitive answer on who's out there as free agents. Right. But I honestly think that they really need to attack the tackle position. I think they need to find somebody that can come in and create some depth along the tackle position for the Raiders. That to me is probably the biggest key position right now is getting somebody that can actually go in and can back up Trent Brown and Colton Miller at offensive tackle.
Right. And I have to say too, I mean, even if we go get it, I really want to see what wide receivers are still out there in free agency. That's one thing I want to see. A lot of people talk about, oh, is T.O. coming back? Is Ocho Cinco coming back? No, Tyrell Owens is a Hall of Famer. He's inducted to the Hall of Fame. He's not going to come back. Now, Chad Ocho Cinco wants to come back. I still want to go after him because he's up there in age. The guy's doing podcasts. He's living his life. I don't think he wants to come back to football, but I mean, he did praise Damon Arnett. I don't know if y'all saw that, but he did praise Damon Arnett. So stop sleeping on my man, Damon Arnett. Stop doing it. Don't do it. Let me see. Robert had another question, and he said, do you think we should get Dak Prescott if it's a bad year for the Cowgirls? No, I do not want Dak Prescott. He's not a winner. We don't want listen, we already got 3 former Cowboys on our team already. We don't need any more. We're not going to turn the Raiders into the Cowboys. We're not going to do that. Absolutely not. No, I don't want to go with we don't even have cap space, and the money that Dak is asking for, hell no.
He's asking for way too much money for a guy that hasn't really proved he can win in a postseason. Hell, most of the time they're not even getting there. When they are, they're handing the ball to frickin' Zeke. Now, show it to me in the postseason and then go and ask for your $200 million contract.
So, let me see here. Next question. Should we definitely have a 4 wide receiver set often? Yes, we should. Because of the defense he built in Indy, which beat Tom Brady and Belichick. Instead of Belichick, he said Belichick. It was Peyton, not Eli. Gruden had never had a QB like Mahomes or Brady or Drew Brees. That is true. He won championships, and he won championships with a guy named Brad Johnson. Mm-hmm. And he went to a few playoffs with a guy named Rich Gannon, which was.
And he did coach up Brett Favre as the quarterbacks coach there in Green Bay.
Yep, and Brett Favre. That's the only one. For real, that's the only one. But he had a Hall of Fame defense, which is understandable. He had a Hall of Fame defense because the Buccaneers was already a good defense that year. We already knew that. We already knew they was a good defense that year. But it made them even greater because Gruden knew what we were doing. He knew every play. Exactly. John Gruden knew every play we were calling. I watched and I heard John Gruden mic'd up in that Super Bowl was calling everything out before the ball was snapped. Simple as that. Josh Gordon? No. Absolutely not.
Josh Gordon in Las Vegas? Are you serious? That'd be a nightmare scenario. That ain't a place for Josh Gordon.
I don't understand how this guy keep getting reinstated over and over and over again. I just don't understand. I don't understand it. So Josh Gordon, no, absolutely not. Melvin, give me a prime Manning and take your top defense. Melvin said Gruden still had to prove himself as a Super Bowl winning coach in my eyes. I I mean, you can't. I mean, he solidified. I mean, at the end of the day, he solidifies himself. Oh well, that's just what it is.
Well, I understand where Melvin's coming from. I mean,
Right.
everybody kept saying, well, he took over, a team that already had a preset defense that was already a playoff team, but he did get that offense to go into a good spot, was able to score the football as well. So I mean, Gruden did have his hand in it. Obviously, the defense is preset for him, but at least he had that offense cooking a little bit better.
Manning flopped many a year. I don't know what that means. Hi, guys. Hey, Crystal Johnston. Thank you for coming in to the chat. Thank you for coming into this live podcast. We really do appreciate it. Robert is getting hype on free agents. How many times did Belichick beat Manning? He beat him a few times. That don't have nothing to do with the Raiders, though. That don't have nothing to do with us. And Rich Gannon was a MVP. So he was a MVP. But he don't get me wrong. He was a MVP. Yes, he was. But a lot of people in the NFL didn't respect Rich Gannon because he was a Raider. The NFL don't respect us. That's just, as long as if you're a Raider at this time, you're going to be hated. You're going to be the most hated. So we just gotta take that on the chin. Now, we don't have any more questions at this moment, and we got 10 minutes left into the show. Now, we play the Panthers week 1, and we're going up against a coach named Matt Rule that know how to turn programs around. You bring in a Teddy Bridgewater that's coming from an understudy from Drew Brees. They bring in Robbie Anderson as a wide receiver. Christian McCaffrey's still there. How do you feel about us in this matchup going into Carolina for this first game on September 13th?
Honestly, I love it. I mean, you take a look at it, you got a brand new head coach, brand new quarterback. They're still trying to get to know each other. So you're talking with an offseason that wasn't. It's going to take, teams a lot longer to get their feet under them, so to speak. So I think that Bridgewater and Rule, it's going to take a little bit of time. Teddy has won everywhere he's been. I mean, that's just plain and simple. He's won everywhere that he's been to. I like the Raiders in this game. For the simple fact is, I think our offense is going to put up a lot of points in that game. People seem to think, hey, it'll be a really close game, blah, blah, blah. They lost Luke Kuechly. To me, that man was the heartbeat of that defense.
Mm-hmm.
Always was, has been for a long time. You just don't go out and replace that.
Right.
I think Derek Carr in that offense, I believe we shine. And not to mention, lost James Bradbury. They're starting their ace cornerback. They lost him in free agency. There's going to be a lot of rebuilding going on for Carolina. I think the Raiders go in there and they win their first game of the season.
I have to agree. I think that, you're going off a first-year head coach. You're going off of a first-year. Well, he's not really a start. Well, he's not a first-year starting quarterback, but this is his first time being a starting quarterback since the injury that built back that he had. That's what I'm kind of nervous about with Teddy Bridgewater. But at the same time, this is what I see. That defense going after Teddy Bridgewater. I think Robbie Anderson is not going to have a great game against us. You understand that we're young, but I feel like this matchup is going to be a great matchup. If we want to blow the Carolina Panthers out, no. This is going to be a close game, but I think we come out on top. I really think we come out on top. So Balls Uno says Panthers matchup is absolutely a win, fellas. Absolutely, that is a win. Gruden built the same team that he played in the Super Bowl, and though meaning if Gruden still coaching us in 2002, we probably would have won that game. Absolutely, we would have won that game. We would have played in there. Absolutely.
Oh yeah.
The Raiders split 1-1 with the Bucks and Saints. Do you agree? Out of this game, who would you have winning in this game, Chad? Like Raiders beat the Bucks or Raiders beat the Saints? Which one?
Man, that is tough, man.
I love Tom Brady. I love Bruce Arians and Ron Gronkowski. I like what they're doing over there in Tampa Bay. But I don't know about this offensive line.
No, his offensive line is a weak spot.
If we get to Tom Brady, we win the game.
But the Saints at home as well, to where it seems like Brady and that team, that they play a lot better at home. That's obvious. That's been well documented.
But don't the Bucks come to us?
Yeah, the Bucks do too. So that's 2 games at Allegiant. Man, that's just those games, that's going to prove who we are. If we split that and go 1-1, I'm completely good with this because those 2 teams right there, quite honestly, to me, are NFC contenders all the way through. They're flat out contenders for the Super Bowl. So, honestly, if we go 1-1, against those guys, I'll take that. I will definitely take that.
Yeah, I would take that.
I really want to beat Tom Brady, though. I really would rather beat the Bucks than the Saints just because it's Tom Brady and Rob Gronkowski and all them. I would much rather win that game because that Tuck Rule game still sticks in my brain, and I really want to get that revenge on Tom Brady.
Oh, my God. I cannot.
Sorry I had to bring it up.
That darn
I can't mention Tom Brady without the Tuck Rule.
Right. That's absolutely true. You can't. That is a headache in itself talking about the Tuck Rule.
Sorry.
The Tuck Rule is just as worse as the index card. The index card was just as horrible. Oh my God. How do you say it's a first down with the index card? It's like these rules don't happen, but it only happened to the Raiders.
Every year.
It always happens to the Raiders. Every year is always some dumb behind call that's made up, that never be used again, and we get screwed. It never fails. Never fails. So Robert says that in one of the only ways we could beat KC is when we pressure the quarterback. For God's sake, how many times did we see us last year not pressure the quarterback and give up a 60-yard bomb to a wide receiver? That was the Achilles heel of our season. That was the Achilles heels of our season. Period. It was. You said yes, we owe Brady a loss. Talking this. That's one. Okay. So Brian Edwards remind me of Brian Edwards, the other Brian Edwards. I get what you're saying.
Okay.
Noise,
is that
fellas.
the former Cleveland Brown guy?
Yes, that's what he's talking about.
Oh man, come on, our Brian Edwards better than that. Get out of here.
But if you got to think about it, Brian Edwards, when he came out of college, he was a top receiver. He had that same size, but he didn't. Of course, he didn't pan out in the NFL, but
he was on a bad team too. Really bad team.
Yeah, he was on a really bad team too. He was on the Cleveland Browns that never won nothing in a day in their life. So it was like, they didn't win the Super Bowl. So it was like, I don't even know last time they've been to the playoffs. We haven't been to the playoffs since 2016. But darn, when the last time the Browns been in it? That's another thing. So I felt bad for the other Brian Edwards at that time. So he says Anquan Bolden. Huh.
Damn, I haven't heard that name in years.
Oh man. I think he's not coming back to football. He's really on the big advocacy thing, what's going on in the world right now, which I don't like to talk about on here. I do talk about it, but it's not much to talk about right now with all the boycotting and everything going on. But we're trying to stick to Raiders football. But, Anquan is definitely out there, having his voice be heard. We know that. I don't think he want to come back to football right now. The way things are going with the pandemic and the Black Lives Matter and all this stuff that's going on, I don't think he wants to be back in football. That's just me. That Tennessee game summed it all up for us, that defense. The Tennessee game got on my nerves. So did the Jacksonville Jaguars game. Both of those games last year irked my life because we was up in those games and we just dropped the ball. We just dropped the ball. Yeah, that was bad. And was a typo, fellas. I meant to say Brian Edwards reminds me of Anquan Bolden. My mistake.
God.
Okay. I was like, but maybe the other Brian Edwards did remind us of the new Brian Edwards now. It does remind us in some sense. If you go look back when he played at Michigan, you can see the kind of a similar, but Anquan Bolden, I can see that more of a comparison. I can see that more.
Yes.
So we are at the 1 hour and 30-minute mark. We about to do our final statements of this, and we're going to definitely get out of here because I know we got other stuff to do. I got a lot of stuff to do. I got 2 meetings tonight, so I definitely got to get out of here real soon. So final take on the Raiders. Give me a hot take. I know you already gave us one already, but give us another one. How you feeling about this? Like this is getting closer to the season. How pumped are you for this? Because I'm excited. I cannot wait.
Don't sleep on the Raiders this year. Improved team, both sides of the ball. Expect good things this year, and I believe the future is bright, and we're going to see it this year with this young talent that we have coming in. I think it's going to be a great year. Don't sleep on them, and watch out for that defense. Give it a couple weeks. Let them start gelling a little bit, and things are going to be much different.
And that's all we have to say here, y'all. Just want to let y'all know, make sure that y'all go over to the Spotlight Sports Network YouTube channel, which is called Spotlight Sports Network. Spotlight Sports Network is the home of the Spotlight Raiders Talk. So make sure y'all go over to that YouTube channel and subscribe to the Spotlight Sports Network. We are on Facebook as Spotlight Raiders Talk, on Facebook as well, in Spotlight Sports Network on all social media platforms. So make sure y'all go follow us there. This will be an audio podcast, so you'll hear this on the Spotlight Sports Network audio podcast. Raider Nation, we are in the building. I do want to thank Chad for coming on to the show. It's been a long time. It seems like we never missed a step, man. And shout out to Chad because, he's getting his degree in sports management, and he's doing the damn thing over there. I'm going back to school at Full Sail to be a sportscaster. So it's going to be awesome, y'all. Awesome. Thank everybody for tuning in. And just another thing, y'all, make sure y'all stay safe. Make sure y'all stay out of the way with everything going on in the world right now. Memberships are available on the YouTube channel. So if you do want to become a member of the Spotlight Raiders Talk, you could definitely provide over there and help us out so we could grow this channel as much as we can. Anything else you guys say, Chad, before we head out?
Yeah. Peace out, Raider Nation. Going to be a great year this year.
All right, so it is Raider Nation. Just win, baby. And we'll see y'all next Tuesday, same time, 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time for Raiders Talk. If any breaking news come out before then, I will create a video for and upload it to the channel. It's the Spotlight Raiders Talk, and we'll see y'all next Tuesday. Peace.
Once a Raider, bruh, always a Raider, bruh. Shit simple as that. You look silver and black. Lot of bread invested in that O-line. Car insurance cost all